Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Heartland Farm. This week's episode of The Toy and the Real McCoy. I got to tell you, we've had a really busy weekend, and yesterday we were all day at the 13th annual Lufkin Pull for a Cure tractor pull over in Argyle. Truck and tractor pull. Had a wonderful day, a lot of hooks. Never finished pulling last night till about 9:30. And then today we had the Antique Truck Show at our Washington County Fairgrounds, and I wanted to participate in that. So there'll be no drawing for a hat and t-shirt this week. I'll catch up with you next week. We didn't have time to list the names and throw them in the hat. So to dispense with that, I'm also going to do something else that I don't need to do yet, but we're going to today, because I want to do a better job of a show that I did on Easter Sunday for you. We did a show on our International West Coaster Semi that day, but we didn't have new batteries in the truck, and she was in the barn, and nobody got a real good look at it. So we're doing a repeat, even though we got plenty of new material to do. Today is a rerun, but it's going to be totally different. So we're going to zero in on the toy here. This is a replica of a 1961 International RDF-405 West Coaster semi-tractor and a 1969 Timptee perimeter frame trailer. This tractor was made by a company called Top Shelf Replicas, and it is the exact paint scheme of our truck, but this tractor has a sleeper where ours is just a day cab. Has the visor, has the horns, has the lights, mirrors, paint scheme, everything is so much the same. It's uncanny. I do believe that somewhere along the line, the people from Top Shelf Replicas must have seen this truck on the cover of Wheels of Time or something, and indeed liked the paint scheme and copied this when they made the toy. But it was not done custom for us. On the other hand, this perimeter frame trailer was made by a man named Eric Amy from Lidditz, Pennsylvania. The Amy family has been in the heavy trucking business down there for many years, and Eric Amy custom builds trailers. And I met him at the McCoy Truck Show years ago of the American Antique Truck Club of America, the ATCA show. And we were talking, and he said, if you want a custom of your trailer, I'd gladly do it. So I sent him some pictures of my trailer, and if you look at this, this is a perimeter frame trailer. Our trailer was originally owned by the Union Pacific Railway because it moved containers when containerization was still a new fad. Our trailer has a 3-foot side kit and a Midwest tarp kit on it that were added by the gentleman that restored the truck. Our tractor and trailer were restored by a gentleman named Bernard J. Paralek of Fremont, Nebraska. And through happenstance, I found out that his truck and trailer were for sale through the close eye of a very dear friend of mine, Jim Glennon. And Jim, I'm forever in your debt for steering me onto that truck, because it is certainly one of our most favorite pieces here in the collection. So let's take a little walk around our truck. This truck has been impeccably restored by Mr. Paralek. He was a long haul driver. He drove for a variety of companies over the years, and had in 1958 bought a brand new International Sightliner and went to the International branch in Omaha, Nebraska to get it. And this was when International had branch houses stationed throughout the country and had a lot of trucks in stock at the branch houses. Well, when he was there to pick up his Sightliner, which turned out to be the worst truck he ever owned, incidentally, they had to move a black West Coaster out of the way for him to get his Sightliner out of the big warehouse building. And he fell in love with them right then. And after getting rid of the Sightliner, he switched to Kenworths in the early 60s, and he spent a long time out there in the Midwest hauling for Gamble's stores and, oh gosh, I'm lacking the name of the company that made grain bins that he hauled for, but nonetheless, began with a B. Anyways, he spotted all these West Coasters that had been retired and parked up over the years, and he made it his business when he retired to go collect all those trucks. So this one, the main truck, we have the line setting ticket, the original order from the International Harvester Sales Branch, and which was in Seward, Nebraska at the time, and this order for Brown's Moving and Storage, who bought this truck brand new. This truck is titled as a 1961. It was produced in 1960, and it is the very last year of the West Coaster style. This truck was built in the International Harvester plant in Emeryville, California. It has its original power plant with some modifications, its original drivetrain with some modifications that I'll get into. So, as you can see by my shirt, I still play with trucks. And this one's titled out to T.M. Havens and Sons, Kingsbury. That's my boys and myself and my wife. And under the hood here, we have an NTO 6B Cummins 262 horsepower engine. This truck actually was born with a 220 Cummins, which is naturally aspirated, 743 cubic inches. But with the addition of this number 590 turbocharger, it brings it up 42 horsepower and makes it a 262. So Mr. Paralek, when he took those 4 West Coasters and took parts off of them to put on this one, he decided that he was going to upgrade it a little bit, put a set of Jake brakes on this 262, put the 590 turbo on there, and make it a turbocharged instead of naturally aspirated tractor. If you look, she's got the swan hood ornament, which was very popular on big rigs in the 50s and 60s. It's an extremely long wheelbase truck because West Coast bridge laws were far different than here on the East Coast, so you had to stretch things out. Here on the East Coast, we had to shorten things up. So it's a 264-inch wheelbase tractor. It is, this is the date that the restoration was complete, 6 of 83. That's not true. This is the date he bought the truck, 6 of 83. He bought the tractor, or the trailer in September of 99. If you look inside, the interior's all been redone. The original 5-speed transmission's been removed, and a 13-speed RTO 9513 overdrive 13 has been put in ahead of the original 4-speed auxiliary transmission. So now we have 13 ahead, and then we have 4 ranges. So you've got 13 and 4, 52 gears ahead, and then we've got 3 times 4, 12 reverse gears. He did add on belt-driven hydraulic power steering, which was a wonderful addition because it's still longer than a wet week to turn, and that power steering makes a big difference. He's beautifully accented the inside. This is far from what the original interior would be, but Mr. Paralek did a first-rate job on this truck. He wood grained the dash. He put in some additional gauges that were not in there. We have a pyrometer now, which is very important. And the day I picked the truck up, 2 days after Father's Day 2011, he warned me. He said, don't you ever let that pyrometer touch 1,000 or I'll haunt you. So I'm very careful about that. He says you got to keep her under 1,000 degrees, and that's what we do. He added some East manufacturing steps on both sides to get up to facilitate hooking and unhooking the air lines and the electric. We have a nice toolbox on there with the IH logo. He is a best customer of chrome acorn nut covers that there probably ever has been, because there are literally hundreds of them on this tractor. And he did just a beautiful restoration. This truck goes down the road on biased 1,020 tires, tube type, just as straight and just as nice as if it was a brand new truck. Yes, it's a spring suspension truck, but because of the length, unless you're on a really horrible highway, it's a darn nice ride. Now we'll go back to the Timpty trailer. Mr. Paralek took the trailer once it was restored out to Timpty, and they made him a brand new data plate for the trailer, because of course Timpty is still a major manufacturer of trailers out in the Midwest, and had a brand new data plate made for her and installed on there. He's got some Timpty literature and some hats that he gave me. They were very good to him, and they were very pleased that he had taken such good care of one of their old trailers. The trailer had been owned by the Union Pacific Railway. It is a perimeter frame, because on sea containers, your weight is always on the outside, where normally a trailer frames are in the center. So the perimeter frame trailer has totally been restored. It rides on the same 1,020 bias tube type tires. Mr. Paralek was a lifelong and lifetime member of the American Truck Historical Society, as I am as well. This sign came on there, thanks for the memories, and Mr. Paralek gave me some memories as well. A wonderful man. Something people forget, good stuff, trucks bring it. They sure do. Everything we use, everything we consume, everything we eat, everything we wear, moved on a truck. And it's about time people start respecting truckers all over again. Got this 3-foot tarp side, or 3-foot side kit with the aluminum stakes, and we've got a Midwest tarp kit. The company that made this tarp right here is right there in Fremont. They custom built that for this tarp kit on this Timpty perimeter frame trailer. And I don't know that I can tell you an awful lot more about her, other than I just love the truck. It's a pleasure to drive. It gets a little warm in there. All it's got is one of the old ceiling mounted cage fans on there, which moves the air around. So it's got what we call 260 air conditioning, 2 windows at 60 miles an hour. I used it today because it's hotter than a brick oven out here in upstate New York right now. But it was a great day at the truck show. The truck, I want to show you something else down here. Mr. Paralek owned it. The truck was featured on the January-February issue of Wheels of Time in 2009. And a beautiful picture, kind of something we always carry around with it. And for our truck show today, we're honored to have our truck featured as the dash plaque. And there was just no way. As tired as we were from a long weekend of getting ready for tractor pulling and tractor pulling, there was just no way we could keep her home today. She had to be at the show. She was well received out there, and it was just an honor to be on the dash plaque. In closing, just one more thing. When I made that trip out there to get this truck, I needed a willing co-pilot. I took my cousin Rue with me, who's like the family dog. You jingle a set of keys and he's in. This man has covered more highways in the United States than probably anybody I know. And I said, Rue, you want to fly to Omaha and drive home in an antique semi? He goes, hell yes. So that's what we did. Now, we lost Rue last October, and his 80th birthday would have been this week. I miss him every day. Y'all have a great week. See you next Sunday.